How you doing, everyone? It's Kevin. I'm back with another video. I'm trying to do one last video on ginseng before the season's up, and I honestly think the season is up because last night we got our first frost, so ginseng is not going to be around too much longer for sure. Frost is going to kill it off and we're not going to see it, so it's not going to be above the ground anyhow. So we're going to try to get this video in. I'm going to try to explain the age of a plant and how you tell the age of a plant. Only my opinion though, just my opinion on how I age a plant. So let's get to it. Alright, this is the first plant I come across, and it is a pretty good sized plant. And you want to try to look at the stalk on it. You want the biggest stalk you could find. I've actually found them as big as pencils, and that's an old plant. This one here is smaller, but 3-prong is what you want. At least 3. If you're looking for an age of a plant around 7 years old, 3-prong is what you want. So if you get down in here, let's get the plant. Yeah, it's already frosted, so these plants are going to be done here real shortly. Oh, this root goes underneath this big old rock here. There it is, right there. Look here. Now, we don't want to break anything on the top because this is definitely how you identify the age of a plant. It's a little bit harder to age a plant by just its top because it's just tough, but you do want them 3 prongs. And I'm going to clean this one up. I'm going to get it cleaned up. We'll get it home, get it cleaned up, and we'll be able to tell exactly the age by the rings on the top of this plant, right up in here. But once it's clean, I know. But in the woods, basically, I'm looking for a 3-prong plant to try to get your 7 years with a heavy stalk, a real heavy stalk on it. So we're gonna scout around here and see if we can find a bigger one than this one. Maybe some bigger ones up in here, because this is at the bottom of the hill. So if we're digging this at the bottom of the hill, there should be bigger ones up at the top, or up closer to the top. Okay, what we have here is another plant just up the hill. I told you they'd be up the hill. And as you can see, they're starting to lose their leaves and stuff. And you know, the stalk on this plant is a pretty good heavy stalk. And it's tall, very tall. So that tells me that I know that this plant's producing seed. You can see the seed stem right here where the seeds were. So that tells me this plant is definitely a good mature plant. Now, I've seen much bigger stalks. I've seen them as big as a pencil. This one is not, but this would be definitely a 7-year-old plant. I would say if you wanted to dig anything 7 and up, you got to have that 3 to 4, maybe 5 prongers, and you're getting into much older plants. When you're into the 2-prong plants, and that's not going to be a very old plant, and it's probably not going to be what you want. You want something with at least 3 prongs on it. So this is just up the hill from where we dug the other one, and we're going to look around and see if I can find anything bigger than what I've already dug. So, but that's a good plant. We're going to leave it there, let it keep seeding, look for a bigger one. Maybe hard to find a bigger one because the bigger ones are actually pretty much lost everything. You see how that one's already turned yellow. So definitely losing its leaves and everything. We'll keep looking. Okay, this would be a young 3-prong. You can see the size of the stalk. And we're up even further than the last one that we just found. But this one would be a lot younger plant. I wouldn't even touch this plant. It is producing seeds, so I wouldn't dig this one. If you're looking for something 7 years old, I think this one would be too small. So I'm going to keep looking. It's going to be hard to find one bigger than we just found. Alright, we walked across that hill a good ways. We only found those 3 plants up there. I didn't really want to take the first one, but that was a pretty good sized plant and it was legal, so I took it. As you can tell, all the Ginseng plants at this time of year are yellow or they're completely gone already. So it's about 37 degrees out here right now and I'm freezing, but walking the hills keep you a little warm. So this is definitely going to be my last hunt of the season. I won't be going out ginseng because it's going to be gone. It was, like I said, we had frost last night, so the ginseng's going to be gone. But I was hoping I can get this video done, and it looks like I'm going to get it done. So we're going to get what we have back home. I have one plant there, and I can tell exactly the year of that plant once it's out of the ground, and I'll show you how to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about the stalk and the plant itself. Okay, this is the one and only plant that we had dug. I got it all home now, and once they're out of the ground you can tell pretty much real close to almost exactly how old the plant is. But when they're in the woods it's a little bit harder to tell because the only thing that you can see is the stem and the top of the plant. So we're going to do some measurements on this thing just to give you an idea of how old this plant is, because we'll be able to tell by this stem on the top of it to this top part right here. So if we go out and we dig plants this size, we'll know just about how old the plant is. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do with this plant is I'm going to lay it out here, and we're going to get a measurement on the length of the stalk, and that is from here to here, because this is exactly where that broke off of, right there on that piece right there. So we'll get the length from here up to the stalk of that thing, and that's going to be about 11.5 inches. So that's about 11.5 inches from here to there. But you're basically not going to see this outside the ground. You can see where it's light color here. So that's 11.5 inches to there. Let's measure up just to where the light color goes. And we're going to say that's about 8 inches. So from the bottom of that stalk to there is about 8 inches. So if it was sticking out of the ground, that's basically what you would see from there. Now, what I want to do now is move it up this way so you guys can see it. And then I'm going to measure across, just an idea, because not all ginseng plants are the same. That's about 10 to 11 inches across. About 11 inches across there. So that's actually pretty good sized top on there. And a good thing for me is I always look for at least 3 prongs. And I've seen these as high as 5. I've seen these as high as 5. So really 3 is definitely the lowest you want to go. I wouldn't go any smaller than a 3, and try to get the biggest stalk that you can. Now this stalk here is about 1/8 of an inch, and if you compare that to a pencil, and I've seen them as big as a pencil, and if you was to get one the size of this pencil, I can almost guarantee you have a very old plant. It's going to be a granddaddy plant. So you can see the difference between that stalk and the pencil. So the pencil, if you get these, you're going to be tickled to death because they're going to have a humongo root on them. Now, once you got your plant and you got it back home and it's cleaned up and everything, it's not that hard to tell exactly how old this plant is. I mean, you're going to be within a year, okay? You'll be within a year. Actually, you can see, I'm going to show you here. Get a little close up on this. I'm hoping you guys can see this okay. If you look right here, right on that part right there, that's where this broke off. That's where that came out. Okay, so really this piece, this little curl right here on the end, right here, I'm hoping you guys can see that. This little curl is next year's growth already. That's already next year's growth. So if you want to find out exactly how old the plant is, you can see where the stalk broke off here. All you have to do is count how many times the stalk broke off, and it'll give you the year of that plant. So let's see here. I'll make sure you guys can see. I'm going to bring this camera down a little bit closer, and then we're going to count the years, how old this plant is. All right, let's get the year of this plant. How many years old is this plant? So we have this first hole here. This is where the stalk just broke off this year. So you got 1 here. Then if you turn it, you have 2. Turn it again, you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna say there's 10, and I possibly could say 11 years old. This plant would be 11 years old. So it takes an awful long time to grow a ginseng plant. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like to take them when they're small, is because it takes so long. And you know, when it's a plant, you put a ginseng, let's say you took the seeds off and you planted them ginseng seeds. As long as the soil, you know, you have to have the right pH for a ginseng to grow. And it'll take at least 3 years before this plant will sprout out of the ground. So you figure 3 years onto that 11, possibly 12 years. I mean, I'm saying 11 to be safe. So you're looking at like a 14-year-old plant since it was a seed, 14 years old. So it takes an awful long time to grow one ginseng plant. So that is how I kind of determine the year or how old a ginseng plant is. By the size of the stalk. I go by the size of the stalk, how long it is. If it's a very tall one and the stalk is pretty heavy here. I got at least 1/8 of an inch on this stalk. About at least 8 inches are sticking out of the ground. And the top is about 11, 10, about 10, 11 inches round. You're looking at a fairly decent aged plant. So that is how I determine the year of a ginseng plant, or how old one is. Okay, with the size of the stalk sticking out of the ground, that's the best way to tell how old the plant is in the prongs on the top. If you have at least, let's say at least 8 inches of plant sticking out of the ground, and you have at least 3 prongs, you're probably going to get a little bit more than it should be around a 7-year-old plant or more. This one's 11 years old, so I'm going to say that's probably about right. So look for 3 prongs, look for a heavy stalk, and tall. If you can get them bigger, I mean, if your stalk was any longer than 8 inches, you're definitely going to get a pretty good plant. So long stalk, at least 3 prongs and up, 3, 4, or 5, and a good heavy top makes it really nice. If you have a good big top on it, it's nice, because the bigger that top is, the bigger their stalk's going to be. So that's pretty much how I think I can determine the age of a plant, to the best of my knowledge. So I wish you guys luck out there. And don't forget, when you're hunting, save some for your grandkids. Save them for your grandkids, because if we go and dig them all, there's not going to be any for them. And they may never get to know what a ginseng looks like if we go out and we dig them all. You know how much you enjoy it, and I'm sure they will enjoy it just as much. So replant the seeds and only take what you need. I would like to tell everybody thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment if you'd like. Till next time.